Hello and welcome back to another video, and in today's video I am going to be drawing a mimic. Let's just go ahead and get into drawing the mimic. If you do not know what a mimic is, they usually take on the form of a treasure chest and have either tentacles or teeth, and they pull you in and eat you. That is what a mimic is. It mimics the treasure chest and it will eat you. Now, the specific type of mimic that I'm going to be doing today is going to be one with teeth and a tongue. A very strong tongue, because I decided that. Now, I am a really big fan of mimics. I just think they're really cool. Definitely one of my favorite monsters in movies, books, shows, whatever. Definitely one of my favorites. This looks wrong. I just think they're really cool. So I did come up with a way that mimics are going to work in my story, because obviously if I like something from a fantasy, I'm going to add it in my story, considering it's a fantasy story. So I'm just going to go ahead and explain all that stuff while I draw this, because I can, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, when I was thinking of what I wanted the mimic to be, I was thinking, well, why would the mimic be there? And they're going to be in dungeons, by the way. Just heads up. Well, why would the mimic be in the dungeon? Well, because of the magic. Magic. Dungeons summon monsters through, I'm just going to call it bad magic, because I don't know what I'm actually going to call it, but it's bad. Condensed bad magic that is in the dungeons, which summons the monsters. So the mimics are summoned, but are they summoned in the chests, or are they like in Delicious in Dungeon, where they're actually like bugs and they like find a home? No, they're not bugs. I don't really like the idea of them being bugs. I think it's cool, but I don't think it's as cool as them being little guys with teeth, lots of teeth, and can really be in anything. I think it's cooler when they're that. So, they're guys. They got a little bunch of teeth on the inside. And they're chests. But they're not always going to be chests. I'm going to make some of the mimics little, little bags. Like this. Make a little bag here. And here we go. Here's a mimic. Put its mouth right there. It's got tons of teeth, and that's like a baby mimic, or this one's like a child, or whatever. The bag's made out of flesh, and it won't be able to kill you, but it'll be able to bite your arm off, and well, that could kill you if you don't have any healing, but that's a little mimic. And then a little baby mimic is just a coin, which, well, will just look like a coin from one side, but you flip it over and oh no, it's got tons of teeth, and what's it going to do? It's going to, at most, bite a little chunk of your skin off, and, well, just put a Band-Aid on it. It's not going to kill you, but it's not going to feel nice. Now, what about the bigger mimics? Well, the bigger mimics are the ones that would take places in a chest. Now, why are they in a chest? Well, because if you think of it, if you go higher up in a dungeon, that is in a popular dungeon, the chests are going to be empty. They're not going to have any treasure in them. People have been through the dungeon. They've already taken everything out of the chests. So one of these little guys right here moves into it, takes over the chest, and any adventurers that come in trying to get greedy and take a chest, well, get eaten by the mimic. And then the mimic has a decent food source. But what about these guys? Or no, what about deeper down in the dungeon, when people who are down there will actually be able to detect, or not detect, they'll be able to kill a mimic that's in a chest? What about that? Well, these guys are in the middle of the dungeon, because they're not going to be expecting a chest, and because humans are no longer these guys' main source of food. The chest dungeon, or the chest mimics, their main source of food is humans. Obviously, it's going to eat a human. It's an incredibly easy food source when the human is literally opening your mouth for you. But these guys go for mice, little goblins, really whatever they can get their hands on, or I guess their tongues on. They eat whatever comes their way. Now, what about if you go even deeper into the dungeon? I think I actually want this on the center. What if you go even deeper into the dungeon? What about then? Because, well, are you just going to have these guys down there with incredibly strong monsters? They are not going to be able to get any food. Think about it. What are they going to get, mice down there? There's not going to be any mice down there because the mice wouldn't go that low because there's no food for them. So what do? Well, the mimics that are all the way down there are what I'm going to call ancient mimics. And they are probably in a chest. If you think about where you're going to find chest mimics, let's say the first few layers, you're going to find chest mimics. They're going to be there and be eating adventurers. The middle layers, you're not really going to find many chest mimics at all. You'll still find a couple, but not really many at all, because there's just not many opportunities for them to eat food, because there's not as many adventurers down there. So you'll find these mimics. And if you go even further down into the dungeon, you're not going to find many of these at all. You're going to find pretty much none of these, but you will find ancient mimics, which those are just really big old mimics who are going to be very hard to kill because they're going to have lived for so long, maybe hundreds of years, maybe just 50 or so. I don't know. I don't really know yet, but an ancient mimic has lived for a very long time and has accumulated lots of magical items, which, by the way, the mimics absorb all the magical items that they eat from, like, an adventurer. Let's say you have a necklace, and that necklace gives you 15% speed boost. The mimic eats it. Now, after a while, the mimic's going to basically imbue it with bad magic because it's inside the mimic. You're going to then, if you killed the mimic and got the necklace, you would get it. It would look, I don't know, slightly different, slightly more cursed or whatever, and it's going to have, let's say, now it's got 30% buff to agility or whatever I said, but now it also has 50% like more energy drain or whatever. It's going to have a bad side and a good side. That's what mimics do to the magical items that they eat. But anyways, back to ancient mimics. They are incredibly old. They are just very deep down in the dungeons. And, well, how are you going to take down an ancient mimic? Are they as easy to kill as a regular mimic or one of these little baby mimics? No, they are not. Because why would they be? I want it to be difficult. I want people to suffer. They're going to be pretty hard to kill, pretty much to where any adventurer who's not incredibly strong is going to be turning back, not even trying to face an ancient mimic in the slightest, because they will 100% die. So you may say, how do you take one down then? Why are they that strong? How is that fair? It's not fair. That's the fucking point. But how do you take one down? Well, how do you take down the normal ones? Pretty sure I got sidetracked when I was saying this earlier, but you have to... There will be a core kind of behind the mimic's tongue, which is basically their heart. You stab that on a normal mimic, you win. These little coin mimics, you can kind of just stomp on them and they'll die. These ones kind of just stab the bag and most likely you'll hit its core and it'll die. If not, you kind of just cut it up. But these guys are not like the other mimics where you can just stab them in the heart and they'll die. These ones although they do have the tongue and they do have the core, theirs are much stronger. If you kill these ones, they will die, yes, temporarily. Just stabbing them through the core with a normal blade, a normal shot from a bow is not going to kill them like it would this one. You need to imbue whatever attack you do with lots and lots of magic to actually be able to kill this specific type of mimic. Because why the fuck not? So technically, mages have a lot easier time killing mimics than normal people do, but that is fine, because the type of mage who would actually be able to supply enough magic to kill one of these things has to be an incredibly strong mage. Because, well, you can't just, like, put a little bit of magic into it, you gotta put a lot. They do not go down easy. They are meant to be extremely tough, because, well, what's gonna be inside of them? And let's say this 30%, that would be in a normal chest mimic. Oh, for an ancient mimic, that's going to be like 100% boost. And it's going to be like, with 100% fatigue drain, it's going to be double your speed, but double the amount of drain you would normally take. But it'd probably also have another bad modifier for being in there for so long, but I don't know. I'm not dealing with any of that yet. I don't need to find numbers out. But basically, yeah, that's how I'm going to make the mimics work. The longer they're alive, the farther they go down in the dungeon, but they do actually originally go up. Because, where do the baby mimics come from? Do they just get arisen from the dirt like other monsters do? Yes. Technically they do. That is how a dungeon creates monsters. It just kind of summons them when there is an absence of monsters in an area. It will summon them. But when there is a population of monsters already in an area, which this is what ancient mimics like to do, they like to gather together with other ancient mimics and kind of just hang out together. Because ancient mimics do not need as much food. They have gotten to the point where they can kind of just feed off the magic that's in the area. And that's actually how they don't die. When you need lots of magic to kill one of these guys, because you stab it through the heart, and what does it do? It goes into a slumber and kind of just like chills in its slumber until it's gathered enough magic to come back to life. It just uses the magic in the area to repair its damaged heart and comes back. But if you used lots of magic to destroy it, obviously, then it cannot gather enough bad magic or whatever to regenerate. But also, just one thing, in turn, since that's how it works, it basically goes into a slumber gathering lots of magic to regenerate. Does technically imbue these things with more magic, so you could continuously kill a mimic without actually killing it to make your weapons stronger. But doing that actually makes the mimic stronger too, so it gets harder and harder to actually kill the mimic. Which is why it is not really a practice thing to do. People don't farm mimics because it's just not exactly effective. Or at least people don't farm ancient mimics. They will farm little bag mimics and maybe some chest mimics because they're easy to kill and you can actually get the magic items out of these ones without killing them. It's much harder with these, but with these ones, if you can keep their mouth open so they can't actually chomp on you, you can just reach in and grab the magic item. You can't do it with that one because that's just straight up a coin with a mimic on it, but anyways, I'm pretty sure I got sidetracked. Ancient mimics like to group up together. In turn, when they group up together, they group up with other ancient mimics, obviously. And with the other ancient mimics, they become even stronger, and within enough time of being grouped up with other ancient mimics, they sort of gain a collective consciousness, so they no longer need to communicate with each other because they're all one thing. And that is how little itty-bitty mimics are actually made, because when many ancient mimics come together, they have enough magical power to turn any jewels or bags or maybe some other stuff in the chests into other mimics. So then there's a bunch of mimics. So there's a bunch of coins and a bunch of little bags with the ancient mimics. Although these little bags and coins will eventually venture out once they become, conscious enough. Because, well, there's no food down there for them. They cannot eat the powerful monsters that are down there. They're just not strong enough to get it, and these mimics will not provide them food after a while. So they have to venture up higher in the dungeon, which is why you usually find them around the middle area of the dungeon, because, well, that's just where you're going to find them, because that's where they end up. And they can eat stuff there. But then because of them being younger, they will continue to try to go up as they get bigger and turn into a chest mimic up high in the dungeon. But when a chest mimic has been there for long enough, it will go back further into the dungeon, becoming an ancient mimic. And, while these little bag mimics do have to, I'm going to give it a little tie. These ancient bag mimics do have to kind of be born from a bag. And the coin ones have to be born from coins. And these ones have to be found in a chest. They have to find a chest and make it a home. Ancient mimics can actually kind of materialize their own chest because they have been alive for so long and they're so strong they can make their own chest. That's why there's varying ranges of sizes and different types of chests that you might not think you'd find there. Because, well, they can do whatever the fuck they want because they're strong enough to. But the little coin mimics are definitely the weakest because, well, all they can really do is eat insects and mice. And they do not have a high likelihood of survival. Although, when many of them group up together, they can join into one and become a chest mimic. But that is rarer to happen because it's hard for them all to group up together. But it does happen. Now, that's kind of a shit angle. We're just going to leave it be, though. Now, I am realizing that I've explained all of this probably not very well because I don't know what I'm saying. But, that doesn't matter. I know what I'm talking about. I'll get it all down onto paper eventually. I just wanted to rant about mimics because I really love mimics. I think these mimics that I'm drawing are turning out okay. Definitely not the best mimics I've ever seen or anything. But I think they're turning out okay for what I can do. That's a little too sharp. But yeah, there's not really too much that I can say more about the mimics because there's not too much more to them. They eat stuff. I gave them a reason on why they're there, a reason on why they're like that. Because I was originally thinking, maybe I should make the mimics like slime. But then I was like, but then if I made them slime, then why wouldn't they just be in doorways and crevices in the walls, and then you walk by it and it just grabs you and absorbs you into the wall or whatever. And I was like, that's just a slime though, not really a mimic, because it's mimicking the wall, yes, but it's just a slime. So I decided not to do that. And I was like, what about the bugs? And I was just not really a huge fan of them, because I think this type of mimic is better. So I chose this type, which is not tentacle monster. It's got the teeth and the tongue. It's kind of like the ones from Frieren. except for the ancient mimics, I don't know if I mentioned, can actually have tendrils and will, not can, they will attack you with those tendrils. They will grab onto you and pull you in, and you chop the tendril off, you know what's going to happen. It's just going to replace it with another one. You really want to stop it, chop its tongue off and stab it in the core, like I said, but its tongue is incredibly hard to chop through. You're not going to just chop through it with your like everyday sword, dagger, whatever the fuck it is. These mimics, yeah, you can cut through their tongue with your everyday sword as long as it's sharpened, but these ones, nah, it's fucking reinforced. It's just straight muscle. But yeah, forgot what I was talking about again. I don't know, I like mimics. Did I mention that? Did I mention that enough? How many more times do I have to say it in this video? Alright, let's go ahead and get these lines in here. I'm trying to add like little metal corners to the edges, if you can't tell what those are. I just think they look kind of cool on chests, and it kind of looks like a starter type of chest. Like, it doesn't look like something super valuable is gonna be in there, which nothing valuable would be in there. This is a starter mimic. Alright. We are going to have to add this little part right here. And I did want a metal band around this part, which is fine. There we go, but we're also going to probably want a metal band around this part then. Which, that one's not as good. I don't really have anything else to say about mimics, do I? I think I can time-lapse the rest of this video, because there's nothing else I wanted to say. There were some other things I thought of and was thinking up of other ways of how these mimics would work, but it was all scrapped, and I don't really need to talk about it, and I don't care about it because they were bad ideas. But, yeah, I'm just going to time-lapse the rest of this. How long is this video? It's been 22 minutes of me rambling about mimics. Alrighty. Now that I'm done with this, there was some other stuff I wanted to say about these mimics. One, these little tendrils on the ancient mimics, they're rounded. If you're hit with them head on, it's not going to go through you, it's going to push you back. But the tongue is sharp, and the tongue could go straight through you and actually kill you. That's just one thing. This, I tried to show the appearance change a little bit on these. That's like a boot with a wing on it for 15 speed, and then this one's a boot with like, it's supposed to be like a devil wing on it for 15 speed, but minus 50% endurance. Yeah, I did try that. It doesn't necessarily look fully correct. Also, I did decide that those little things are actually this guy's tentacles, and that's how he actually can get around. Crawl. He pulls himself around with those, and they can stretch out, yes. That's how he'll grab onto your arm and start nomming. These guys, they kind of just scurry around like bugs do with their teeth. They kind of just point their teeth out and just... That's how they move. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. I like how these turned out. I think that this top is definitely too small, and I don't know, they're both perspectively off, but I still like them. I think if I had a perspective grid, I could have done these better, or if I tried to do them non-perspective, just like straight on, could have made them a little better, but I like how they turned out, so yeah, bye.